Perfect. So hello, everyone, Facebook world and out there. My name is Angie. I'm the program manager for the Business Center Guelph-Wellington. Today, we are on our second program with the COIL group from the Smart Cities and Food Futures. So today we are going to be joined by Molly Fremis. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I have terrible saying people's names, who's the program advisor for COIL, so the Circular Opportunity Innovation Launchpad, and she leads the Circular CoLab and other business accelerator initiatives, as well as Christopher Coughlin, who is a Circular Economy Innovation Hub, so CEI Hub, program manager at Innovation Guelph. So I will just pass it right over to you. I'll be here to monitor any questions. So if you are watching live on Facebook and have any questions or comments as we're going through, feel free to put them in the chat. If you're watching this later on in one of the recordings, so you can either add them to the chat or send me an email, success@guelphbusiness.com, and we'll get your questions answered. So welcome, Christopher. Molly, it's great having you here today.
Thanks so much, Angela. Great to be here. Thanks for joining us, everybody. My name is Molly Freems, like Angie said, and I'm joining on the COIL side, and then Christopher will be speaking a little bit to a very exciting program that actually is still accepting applications in a couple of minutes. Today is part 2 of a 3-part series that COIL is running with Guelph-Wellington Business Center, and so this is the second part, building off of yesterday's program, which spoke to sort of circular economies in general and the business case for it, how it makes sense for your business and how to start implementing things. And today we're going to be focusing on a couple of programmatic and sort of funding channels that are available, especially if you're in Southern Ontario, across Canada. And so how you can really start building circularity or that transition into your work. I apologize in advance if you can't tell, I'm a little under the weather today. And so just add in the chat or flag if you're having any issues hearing or understanding me through the stuffed up nose. Okay, but we're gonna dive right in here. So part of the reason why we're so excited to be a part of the Bridges programming is that October is Circular Economy Month in Canada. And this week, actually, in particular, is a very special week. It's Waste Reduction Week in Canada. So there's going to be, we may see circularity way more than usual over the next couple of weeks, and certainly this week as well. I think this week there's also a focus on food waste reduction, which is a big part of our work at the Smart Cities office at the City of Guelph. So I won't spend too much time talking about circularity at a high level, but it does sort of make sense to use that as a starting point, just so we're all on the same understanding of what we mean when we use terms like circular economy or circularity rather. So sometimes you may hear the phrase make waste or linear economy, and that refers to sort of a general status quo of we take resources, whether they're renewable or otherwise non-renewable, we make products or services out of them. And then unfortunately, a lot of the foresight of the end life cycle of those products aren't well thought through, and they end up wasted in our landfill. And a circular economy, whether you use that term or not, because many other terms are used, would think through the life cycle so that when you get towards the quote unquote end, it actually isn't the end. There is some availability for repurposing, for recycling parts of it, for reusing parts of it, for repair, or for it to maintain its sort of highest use value over and over and over again, and avoiding landfill. So the business model for that, in my opinion, has a lot of very obvious strengths to it, especially in these days where I think precarity and volatility are at an all-time high. Circularity really helps build not just quarter to quarter sort of growth, but real true resilience and sustainability. It is great for sort of like reopening revenue streams, as well as expanding products and and services that weren't previously being offered by what you already have often can save costs when it comes to waste management or waste collection, as well as to what you may be spending on virgin materials. It is very helpful, especially these days, in maintaining job resiliency. And we've seen a lot of really great innovation, IP development, both patentable and non-patentable, are coming out of these projects. And ultimately, it's really helping us hit net zero goals and climate readiness. And not a moment too soon, too, in terms of the mitigation that has to be done there. And all of that really tying back to our Earth-centric systems and ensuring that what we're doing is not a take, make, waste model, but is really investing in our sustainability and our biodiversity. This is just not a graphic, but a representation of sort of like the vast ecosystem. And this is really just sort of Canadian focused of circularity right now. And this is to share that like a lot of today's presentation will be focused on COIL and what we're doing within Southern Ontario and how you as beneficiaries may get funding or mentorship or educational resources and a network to contribute. But this is just a nod to understand here in Canada, across North America, and certainly in other parts of the world, especially Europe, where this is so much further along than we may be in terms of policy change, structural support, infrastructure, and secondary markets. So we have a long way to go, but I think this captures a lot of the excitement and movement that's already happening right now. So I'm going to share a video. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for 1 second and reshare it with a new video, which you guys are actually the first to see. This is a video that we've started as promotion for, here we go, where is it? For some of our programs, and I think it helps to capture some of what we do here at COIL in not my words. You can hear it from other folks. So I'm going to play, and hopefully the volume looks okay. The volume doesn't start right away.
Our economy produces a lot of waste. We take resources, make what we want, then simply discard what we don't use. The circular economy finds purpose for materials instead of throwing them away. It protects the land and the environment. It envisions communities where there is enough for everyone. Collaborators across Guelph and Wellington County are helping them lead the way through COIL, the Circular Opportunity Innovation Launchpad.
One of the challenges that we ran into through scaling up was that the process that we started with did create some waste streams. So that was why we were really excited to join the COIL program so that we could learn how to embed circularity into the DNA of our business and ultimately find ways that we can extend the value of some of our waste streams, create new products, and also reduce the waste in our business.
We used our COIL project to help us get into the retail space, so the farmers markets and retailers, and really help us educate on how we can create packaging that is zero waste.
I was in a fortunate position where COIL was offering this program in which funding was available. So I used that funding to hire sales and marketing team to actually allow us to get up on our feet again, to approach our existing customers as well as find new customers.
So the COIL is actually different sections. They provide intense online course. Also, they provide grant. Also, they provide mentor. And actually, 3 of them are really well organized.
This program has helped us to achieve a completely new revenue stream. We've been able to change up the way that we think about our operations. It's created a new product line for which we see as being the future of the business.
COIL inspires and fuels these circular business transitions and innovations. Through our network of partners, we provide education, mentoring, connections, and knowledge sharing We also help companies advance their ideas with access to resources, funding, loans, and new markets. COIL helps companies and organizations bring their circular ideas to life.
So that gives you a little bit of a sense of what COIL is. I'm going to share my slide deck again here. And a big shout out to Christopher, who you'll hear from in a moment, and his team for really bringing parts of that video together. They had a great editor team. Okay, pull this back up here. And so as you heard from a couple of the folks who were sharing in the video, a lot of what COIL does is support businesses and enterprises and organizations directly. And that's trying to hit certain goals around their GHG emissions, like we mentioned, could really be thinking about how are they reusing or revalorizing materials that they already have or diverting waste. There's a lot of thinking about how are we moving from just selling a product to a product as a service model. So you're thinking about the longevity of that product. You may even be trying to build obsolescence out of that product. And then we also do quite a bit of work in regenerative agriculture, especially in the Guelph-Wellington area, supporting producers, farmers, and early stage processors to really think through what is happening generations from now, as opposed to the most or highest yields in a fairly precarious industry. But if we step back a little bit, it's a lot more about systems work as well. And so I won't get too detailed into this graph, but it is just indicative of, well, our programs, which we'll speak a lot to today, are sort of like a core backbone that we offer to organizations and to enterprises. A lot of that is fueled by the systems change that really has to happen in order to support the longevity of those independent transitions within the enterprises. So we want to be looking for regulatory support. We want to be pushing for policy change. We want to understand all of the infrastructure that's required, all of the secondary markets or reverse logistic mechanisms that would have to be built out in order to support truly circular economy. So I'm going to dive into a couple of the programs that we focus on and share a couple of case studies from each of them. One is the Circulate CoLab program, which is a team-based application. And teams get together to collaborate on a particular industry problem and then come together and say, basically, we are the right people in the room to solve this problem. Within 16 weeks, they try to prototype it with 20K in funding. And then at the end of that 16 weeks, they present the prototype to a panel of our COIL advisors. And those advisors determine who moves on to one full year demonstration pilot with an additional $100,000 in funding. And one of our first successful demonstration projects was a team led by Greenhouse Juice Company, who you've probably seen in stores. And they were hit with this huge waste stream of about 75,000 tons of organic pulp after the juicing processes, and figured there's got to be a better way to capture both the nutrient build as well as the waste here. And they ended up using a very cool enzymatic drying process, which enabled them to turn that into a powder. And that powder is going to be used not only in their own juices and products moving forward, but there'll be a new revenue stream and a product that they can offer to others, including across industries. So it won't just stay within teas, juices, etc., or food even. It'll go across medical, cosmetic, and it's a very exciting sort of tech-led development that we were able to fund. And their product actually just hit the market earlier this month. This is their ginger beer that is made out of their upcycled ginger pulp. So be sure to check this out in your local markets or wherever there's sugar and greenhouse, because this is a product that we're excited to be able to support and that they certainly are very proud of. I'm going to pass things over to Christopher now to speak a little bit about the accelerator program.
That's great. Thanks, Molly. So I can speak to this slide and then go over to another set of slides on the accelerator. So this is actually a great introductory slide to explain the work that we do there. The accelerator is really for startups or companies with a demonstrated track record and ready to scale. So it's really flexible. Businesses can apply for anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 in a grant, and there's also an optional $10,000 loan available at 0% interest through Harvest Impact at 10C. There's 24 hours of executive level mentorship, and we also have an exclusive and extensive circular economy curriculum. So here on the right, you'll see a case study example from Heartwood Farm and Cidery, of course, located in Wellington County in Acton, and they integrated circular operations and co-packaging solutions with suppliers. And some of the achievements of their project included product line expansion, commercialization, and waste diversion. So I'll switch over to another group of slides now. Well, actually, Angie, I need to be enabled to share.
Sorry about that. I thought I had you on co-host as well. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, so I apologize. The computer here, the connection's lagging a little bit, so I can't go into the entire full screen mode. I have to go slide by slide. But a little background about Innovation Guelph. So essentially, we're one of 17 regional innovation centers in the province of Ontario. We help businesses and the community converge, collaborate, and cross-pollinate. We offer mentorship, business support services, programming, and events. And we help startups and small and medium-sized companies take their businesses to the next level. Now, I'm going to jump into a little more detail about the current COIL cohort. So ironically enough, today, of all days, is actually the deadline to apply for the Activate Accelerator. And so that means there's still time for anybody on the call to apply. You'll see that it's a 6-month program starting in November and ending in April. There are a couple of hurdles that need to be passed. So early on in the program in November, there's an initial diagnostic and work plan that's created, and then 50% of the funds are released. And then when the project is about halfway finished in February, the additional 50% of the project is then 50% of the funds, sorry, is released. So I'm giving you some information about the training, the mentorship, and the funding, which are really the 3 key components of the work that we do in the accelerator. So with the circular economy training, we've teamed up with local, national, international thought leaders to create training modules and various activities. We'll give you a sense of some of the information that's available. So there are really 4 key areas: Circular Economy 101, which is essentially just an overview of design and business models for the circular economy. We're actually updating Circular Economy 101 right now and integrating some leading thoughts, theoretical thoughts with some local examples, and we're actually leading in a lot of ways locally as well. So we're integrating that material. And for this accelerator, we're very pleased to be combining sort of a little bit of background research that we've done with some great local leadership as well. With the business and economics area, on the left-hand side, you can see some of these icons, some of which allude to that. So business economics, we'd be looking at operations, for example. Disruptive technologies could fall under that as well. Environment areas, so GHG emissions, biomimicry, or designing products and services based on patterns in nature. And then, of course, agri-food, that's a huge focus, food and environment sectors, intersection of food and environment. So we're looking at food loss and waste and food networks. And there's lots of great material there that's available. And some of the curriculum providers there include Arrow Food Institute, Provision Coalition. So it's sort of always been a traditional strength of our food future and COIL, the agri-food and sort of intersection between agri-food and environment space. So again, with funding, we went over this earlier. It's the $5,000 to $20,000, and the funding comes in two sort of segments. And so each of those segments would be anywhere from $2,500 to $10,000. And there is a signed contribution agreement with 10C, shared space. And of course, there's a loan offered through Harvest Impact. We'll get into that a little bit later, but that is $10,000 at 0% interest. So there are some ineligible costs, and it's essentially anything that isn't related to implementing a circular economy project, sort of investments in land or vehicles, paying off debts, litigation, paying taxes. One of the frequently asked questions we get actually is around basic research and development. So we will fund research and development provided there's a direct link to implementing a project within 6 months. We won't, however, fund research and development that's purely exploratory. So that's something that's worth keeping in mind as well. So we do partner with Harvest Impact. They're a core member of the Activate team. Once businesses are halfway through the program, they have the option to apply for a 0% interest at 24 months. Again, this can be up to $10,000. It can be as little as $2,500 depending on needs, and those repayments are deferred. And it's also really easy to do this. So we have a SurveyMonkey apply system. Things like government ID and personal letter of guarantee and promissory note are required, and funds ultimately are sent via check. So I don't know why that skipped there. So mentorship is a really significant perk of the program. Really what we like to think of as mentors as team members, really part of the business team. They've got decades of experience in many cases in building innovative companies. They're able to do a diagnostic for circularity, help with business development, scaling potential. And we always have conversations with businesses to match them with the mentors that best suit their needs. And of course, each business receives 24 hours mentorship. So again, we're activating leaders in the food and environment sectors. It's important to note that there is no revenue requirement for the accelerator. All businesses should be located in Southern Ontario. Again, is a food and environment focus, and businesses do require to have a track record of growth. So at this point, we've given you some foundational information. You may be wondering what kinds of projects would be eligible for Activate. Well, there are a number of those. Waste reduction that will improve the current food environment systems, ecosystem regeneration from nature-based solutions and bio-based products, material loss prevention innovations that provide long-term benefit, approaches to turn waste and byproducts into new products, and we get quite a few of those. New use for the excess loss or wasted material along a supply chain, and of course, developing or deploying technology to reduce waste, and that's another dynamic area. Of course, it's always important to note that within the 6-month time frame, we do need to see measurable impact and results. So with selection criteria, we look to see that the application has been completed in full, the eligibility criteria have been met. We do require for use of funds, a clear and consistent use of funds along with a realistic strategy to achieve the business's scaling goals. And of course, there needs to be an alignment with our program goals based on business model, sales, customer success, and the team expertise of the business in question that's applying. We always mention that there are other ways to get involved. So there's a circular economy digital passport, and that's sort of a concierge service for the circular economy. Really, if businesses get in touch through the digital passport, Innovation Guelph finds different possibilities within the COIL network for businesses to grow and develop. And Molly alluded to some of the other programs that are offered, and Innovation Guelph takes pride in helping businesses find the right starting point and continuation point, of course. Once businesses complete any engagement or program, COIL partner, they receive a stamp which recognizes their participation in the digital passport. Once they've completed a certain number of stamps, depending on the kind of program they've engaged with, they actually are awarded a pathway stamp, which is a sort of a little more of a recognition to the circular work they've done. We're quite pleased to see that a number of businesses are putting their stamps on their websites and their pathways on their websites, and it's becoming almost like a quasi-certification scheme, a way of just acknowledging engagement in the COIL and Our Food Future network. Of course, there's a resource exchange. Yes?
We did get a question in the chat just for you. Would a project currently funded by IDEA be eligible for the cohort of Activate Accelerator? And they're wondering when the next one might be open if they aren't able to for this current one.
Okay, so that's an excellent question. So the IDEA Fund, of course, is a program that Innovation Guelph leads. It's 6 regional innovation centers together. We have had a number of businesses who are currently enrolled in IDEA Fund apply to the accelerator. I think maybe 3 or 4. It's certainly acceptable for them to do so. Often a program will be finishing up and another one will be starting, and there'll be a little bit of overlap. You know, provided that the project is different, it can't just be continuing the exact project that's in IDEA Fund, and then it does align with the COIL program, then it certainly is possible to apply, and you would certainly be eligible. There will be other COIL programming that Innovation Guelph assists with in the new year. There could be another cohort of the accelerator as early as May, and there will certainly be collab cohorts as well. But if you have a really good project that you have in mind and you're currently in the IDEA Fund and you're finishing up your project there, please don't hesitate to apply. Or if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to have a conversation with you today. There's definitely still time to put together an application. In fact, a lot of the applications we're receiving, because 10C has really worked quite well to make the SM Apply very functional. A lot of people find out about the program we're seeing and then they apply in the same day that they find out about it. It's quite common. So don't feel that because today is the last day there isn't enough time. There certainly is, and I'm definitely available to answer any questions you may have. Maybe I should put my email actually out in the chat so that people are able to get in touch if they have any further questions.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, so that's me there. And I do see somebody that's actually, I'm not going to say who they are for confidentiality reasons, but I do see somebody who's almost completed their application for the accelerator in this in the room as well. So if they have any questions, I'm here and certainly able to answer them online or offline as well. So.
Okay, thanks, Christopher. Okay, so we're going to switch screens here again. And I'm probably, there we go. We'll wrap up shortly so that we've got lots of time for questions, especially about the applications at the upcoming deadline. So that's the accelerator program. I do want to just flag the repurpose incubator program that MP's provision led. It is closed now, but they are looking at what a sort of national program may look like down the road. And it's got such great success coming out of it that it's worth capturing, that we decided to partner with Emphasis, collaborate on what an in-depth audit and then one-on-one analysis and business consultation would look like. And a really cool case study that came out of it was working with Sunrise Soya, which is one of the largest sort of tofu producers in Canada, at least, and working with smaller enterprises such as Apokichi and Vision Bakery. And what ended up happening was Apokichi, which is based in Hamilton, was able to produce a ramen noodle kit where the ramen noodles themselves were made out of the okara byproduct of the tofu production process. And their miso was made out of a sake byproduct. So it's this compact noodle kit that is commercialized. You can find it at small grocers across Ontario now. That has a whole bunch of upcycled ingredients from Sunrise Soya's tofu as well as sort of like ugly vegetables that wouldn't have been sold otherwise, but are great and delicious in a ramen kit. And then the other company I mentioned was Vision Bakery, which is based in Georgetown, so not too far from us in Guelph-Wellington. And they were able to use the okara in a new way, in sort of a baked good, dehydrated sort of flour type approach to make an entire line of muffins that are commercialized. They're available at Sobeys, I believe, and Foodland now, and great, incredible growth and projection for annual sales coming out of this project as well. A couple of other projects that I wanted to flag, and this sort of goes back to the systems approach that we need to take. So it's direct funding to businesses and innovation for sure, but there's a lot of infrastructural work that goes on in the background. I won't speak too much to it because Thursday's session at noon is all about how to finance the circular economy, and the team at Harvest Impact from 10C, which Christopher previously mentioned, will be sharing how they are supporting small groups that don't usually have a ton of access to early startup capital, are being led in a really inclusive and community-led way. So be sure to tune in Thursday at 12 noon for that session. Something else that COIL has developed is what we fondly refer to as SWETL, or the Zero Waste Economic Transformation Lab. And this is sort of our first foray out of the nexus between food and the environment. And we're starting with construction and renovation and demolition based on our founding support from the cooperators. But this will probably be the first sort of foray into other industries, and understanding how a lab-based approach can really help us, again, build out that systems change, build out that direct-to-business or enterprise transitions that we want to be seeing in order to see a really sustainable and thriving circular economy. And then one program that I do want to bring folks' attentions to, just like Christopher did with the accelerator, is our Circular Leadership Program. And this is a collaboration between COIL and Ivy Business School and Innovation North. Applications are going to be open until November the 30th. And this is a really cool program where you're going to get quite a bit of airtime from the Ivy professors and instructors who are going to walk folks through circularity and how to get that circular transition within a particular industry sort of challenge, and build as a result a unique solution that's custom and tailor-made to your business needs. So we're looking right now for applicants across Southern Ontario and Quebec this time around, which is great to be able to expand a little bit further than our typical boundaries. And there's going to be 4 workshops that may be run in a hybrid virtual or in-person between January and June of 2023. So I'll share my email as well, and you can definitely contact us for more details about that. We're really excited about the application so far, and are seeing folks really tease out those benefits of understanding what a tailor-made solution could look like for them. COIL will be offering prototype funding for successful pitch winners, and folks who participate will be receiving a certificate as well. And just sort of in this nod of systems change as well, we're in a process right now of building out what a national network may look like. And so understanding maybe a hub and spoke model of how COILs, which is very much a collaborative effort, of course, across all of our partners, can be understanding all of those structural changes that have to happen, take learnings that we've been able to sort of build and develop out in our region, and bring them elsewhere and spread them elsewhere, but in a place-based context. We're really finding that that place-based context is critical to the success and the trust and the relationship building that is critical for any systems change work. So with that, I'll sort of wrap things up. You can find more program details on our website, www.coil.eco, as well as follow us on Twitter at @coil_CE. And my email is listed here, and you'll receive this in the recording, obviously, but I'll share my email in the chat as well. So Angie, maybe I'll turn things back to you if you want to see if there's questions on either side.
Perfect. Not a problem. So I don't see any questions on Facebook. So what I'll do is I will share the COIL links as well. And I did share your email, Christopher, with the Facebook group, just so that if they want to connect with you directly for any of the resources that you provided as well. Molly, I can do the same for you as well. I'll get those out. So if you are watching on Facebook and you have any questions later, feel free to reach out to Molly or Christopher. You can also reach out to me. So that's success@guelphbusiness.com. So success@guelphbusiness.com. We can help you, connect you to Molly, connect you to Christopher, connect you to any of the participants from yesterday's workshop as well, because we have a lot of people coming in to talk to us about COIL, about the circular programs and how you can be involved, and there's lots of resources for you. So if you are interested in this, please let us know. We are part of the larger front door program with COIL and our smart cities, and are quite happy to provide you any information that we have as well. So tomorrow we are doing cooperators. So how if to succession through a cooperative business instead of just doing it through family to family. And then we will be coming back on Thursday with more resources for you in the circular, in our 3-part circular series. So as Small Business Week and also Small Business Month and Circular Week and Circular Month. Wow, it's so many things all at the same time. For those of you who are watching live on Zoom, please stick around for a few seconds. We can have a conversation. You can ask Christopher and Molly any questions you have live right now. For those of you who are watching online, please connect with us and we'll talk to you soon. So thank you, Christopher and Molly. If you can stick around for a few minutes, that would be wonderful. And thank you, everyone.